Good morning, folks. Good afternoon, folks. My name is Kurt Hitzemann, County Court Judge here in Hernando County. You folks are here for your first appearance. Purpose of the first appearance is so that you may be informed of the charges against you. I'll determine if there's probable cause for those charges. Probable cause basically means that it's more likely than not that a crime has occurred, and more likely than not that you're the person that committed that crime. Of course, as you stand before me this afternoon, I presume that you're innocent of these allegations. That presumption of innocence will stay with you through every stage of the proceedings, unless and until the state attorney's office is able to prove the charges against you beyond and to the exclusion of a reasonable doubt. We'll set your conditions of pretrial release, that is your bail or your bond. In most cases, you've had your bond set already pursuant to the bond schedule here in the 5th Judicial Circuit, or the warrant which led to your arrest. I'll determine if that bond should be raised or lowered or left the same, or whether there'll be additional conditions of pretrial release placed upon you. We'll let you know when your next court date will be. If you'd like to have the services of the public defender, I'll gladly appoint the PD to represent you this afternoon. You do have a right to have contact with folks on the outside, family, friends, counsel. If you haven't had a chance to make that call, please let me know. We'll make sure that that happens. Finally, and most importantly, you're advised that you do have an absolute right to remain silent with regard to the facts which surround your arrest. I encourage you to do that. These proceedings are recorded. In addition, there is an assistant state attorney in the courtroom with me this afternoon. If you say something that tends to incriminate you, they will use it against you in the prosecution down the road. I now need each and every one of you there at the jail to please raise your right hands and be sworn. You all solemnly swear affirm, tell the truth, whole truth, nothing but the truth? Outstanding. When you hear your name called, please come forward to the podium. Dana McGee. Afternoon, counsel. How you doing today?
Your Honor. David Perry here for Mr. McGee. And I know that he was at advisory yesterday, and I've spoken with probation in the state today, and what we'd like to do, with the court's approval, is see if we could handle this to get him back to report to probation. He did have a case in Pasco County where he was charged with driving on a suspended, but we'd already been to court here in Hernando, and he was placed back on probation in November for that. But there are outstanding conditions of this probation he still has to complete. He lives in Largo. That's where they went and picked him up to arrest him.
Okay.
So I've talked with probation about how he needs to report back here and then get set up on the things that are remaining. He's doing his BIP classes, and he needs to show proof of getting 2 other evaluations done to them so they can get their file checked with that. And I've received from probation today the monies that are outstanding, and just so the court's aware, his parents actually hired me. They live up in New York City, and I'll contact them today so that they can try to get that part of it taken care of, and then I can stay on him to make sure we get the other things completed.
Okay. So sounds like what we're going to do is have him admit a violation, but then reinstate him on probation with all his other terms and conditions.
With the court's approval, that'd be great.
That'd be awesome. All right. So Dana, you understand that? I'll have you in a second here. I'll have you admit that you violated your probation, but then I'll just put you back on probation. Does that sound like something you want to do?
Yes, Your Honor.
Very good. You understand by admitting a violation of probation, you give up right to have a trial to the court and the right to confront the witnesses against you, but you want to do that so we can resolve your case today.
Yes, sir.
Very good. Satisfied with your lawyer?
Absolutely.
Very good. Case number 18MM4740, admit that you violated your probation.
Sir.
I'll accept the admission, find it was freely and voluntarily made. I will reinstate your probation with all the prior terms and conditions. There will be an additional $100 cost of prosecution to the state. That's the only thing additional. If there's nothing else keeping you in the jail today, Dana, you're going to be released. You're going to have your report to county probation here in Brooksville no later than 4 p.m. on Tuesday, March 19th. I need you to report in person that first time. Since you live in Largo, I will let you report by mail, but since you've been out, I want you to report live before the 19th at 4, and they'll get you restarted and get you set up on your mail-in, okay?
Yes, sir.
All right, any questions?
No, Your Honor.
All right,
Thank you.
very good. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor. Have a good rest of your day.
You too. Elena DeLasso?
Your Honor, she was brought over.
Oh, she's already here. Okay. Yeah, 'cause she has drug court today. She's probably downstairs. I don't know if we need to do that. Maria Marriage. Afternoon, Maria. What's your date of birth?
10/30/81.
All right, Maria, you are here on a warrant signed by Judge Toner. He found probable cause for violation of probation. As to that charge, you want to represent yourself? You want to hire private counsel? Would you like the public defender?
I have private counsel.
Okay. Do they know where you are today?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Bond on the warrant, of course, is no bond. I'll have you back in front of Judge Toner on the 12th of April. Make sure you get a hold of your lawyer and tell him about that date, okay?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
She said private attorney, didn't she?
Yep. Tasha McClanahan. Afternoon, miss. What's your date of birth?
5289.
All right, Tasha, you're here on a probable cause arrest for a violation of probation, and it looks like you were originally sentenced in Sumter County. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So there is probable cause for the VOP. Your bond will be no bond. We will notify Sumter County immediately that you're here and ready to go. They'll have 5 days to come get you. It never takes 5 days with Sumter, but if for some strange and unforeseen reason you were still here in 5 days, they'd bring you back to see me, and I'd find out what the holdup is, all right?
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you. Good luck. Misty Parrish. Afternoon, Misty. What's your date of birth?
7/30/1974.
Misty, you're also here on a warrant. This warrant was signed by a judge in Sumter County who determined there was probable cause for a VOP. Also set your bond at no bond. Same situation for you, Misty. We'll let Sumter know you're here. I'll give them 5 days to come get you, but I'm sure it won't take that long, okay?
Okay, now my probation officer said to let you know that all my fines are paid up to date.
Okay, and that's awesome, and I appreciate that, Misty, but there really is nothing I can do with that information. All I can do is tell you that you've got this warrant and where you're going next. It's when you get to Sumter County that you want to tell people what's going on, okay?
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Carrie O'Connell. Afternoon, Carrie. What's your date of birth?
12/30/86.
Carrie, I have 4 different warrants for you. They're all from Pasco County. And I think the first one is for false information to a pawnbroker. The other 3 are for violations of probation. The judge or judges that signed those warrants determined there was probable cause, and in each case set your bond at no bond. Same thing for you. We're going to let Pasco County know you're here and ready to go. We'll give them 5 days to come get you. It will not take 5 with Pasco. If you're still here in 5 for some strange reason, they'll bring you back to see me, okay? Thank you.
Thank you.
Christy Reinhardt. Afternoon, Ms. Reinhardt. What's your date of birth?
January 23rd, 93.
Christy, the charge is battery being domestic in nature. There's probable cause for the charge. As to that charge, you want to represent yourself? You want to hire private counsel? Would you like the public defender?
Public defender.
I'll appoint the PD. State any history.
No prior history, Your Honor.
And Christy, I have an address for you on Sugar Camp Way in Brooksville. Is that where you live?
Yes, sir.
How long have you lived there?
3 years in February.
Do you have a job these days?
I lost it on last Monday.
Okay. Christy, I'm going to set your bond at $100. Condition of the bond, however, is that you'll have no contact with Christopher. No contact means no contact of any kind. You don't call, you don't write, you don't email, you don't text message, you don't contact him through any social media. Don't have a third person contact him. Don't go where he lives. Don't go where he works. Don't have any contact of any kind. Any way that you might imagine having contact with him, I forbid you to do that. If you have contact and we find out about it, your bond will be revoked and you'll be held without bond until the charge is resolved. It means no contact even if he wants the contact. So if you answer your phone and hear his voice, you should hang up. If you're out and about and see him, you should turn around and run the other way. You need to understand that he cannot drop the charges against you. That's not a decision he'll be allowed to make. He may go to the state attorney's office and ask them to drop the charges. He may tell them he's not interested in pursuing this matter. But That decision belongs solely to the Assistant State Attorney handling your case. So unless that person or the judge on your case or your lawyer tells you the charges are dropped, you should assume they are not dropped and you should not have contact. In addition, I have to hold you at the jail today up until 4 p.m. so that if you wanted to serve you with a civil injunction for protection against domestic violence, we'd know where to find you. If you get the civil injunction, it's doubly important that you not have contact, because in that case, not only could you get your bond revoked here, but you could get new charges for violating the injunction. I'm going to have you back in court on the 3rd of April. Very important, Christy, that you contact the public defender's office when you get out, all right?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Elena? And Elena, what's your date of birth?
4/15/1980.
All right. Elena, you're here on they're basically recommitment orders that I signed on the cases that you had in drug court. So you've been recommitted or your bond has been revoked on those cases. At the moment, you're on no bond. Did you have the public defender on these cases?
Yeah, but I think in drug court though. I think.
Okay.
I mean, I'm going to drug court too right after this.
I get
okay.
I get all. This is a little odd, but I get all that.
Okay.
I'm going to appoint the public defender because you're going to need somebody to speak for you today when you get back up there, obviously. So I'll appoint the public defender, and you're exactly correct. We're sending you back to see, I think it's Judge Scaglione today, for drug court, and
right.
That's where you'll go next, okay?
Okay, so
right.
is this a different charge?
No, it's all the same charges. I think there was a dirty screen. You know better than me.
Yeah.
And then they lost track of you. That's why I did the recommitment orders to get you back here, and now Judge Scaglione will decide what happens to you next. It's the same charges.
Okay.
All right?
All right, thank you.
Very good. Okay. Megan Singer. Afternoon, Ms. Singer. What's the date of birth?
2/20/85.
Ms. Singer, I have two charges, possession of controlled substance, possession of drug paraphernalia. There's probable cause for those charges. As to those charges, you want to represent yourself. You want to hire a private counsel. Would you like the public defender?
A PD, please.
I'll point to PD. State.
Showing a 2017 paraphernalia adjudication of guilt where a short jail sentence was imposed in December of 2017. A actual constructive possession synthetic, a 2017 adjudication of guilt where looks like jail was imposed. A 2012 ammo by convicted Florida felon, 2012 adjudication of guilt. And a 2003 marijuana adjudication withheld on a Hernando County.
All right. Megan, I have an address for you on Concord Avenue in Spring Hill. Is that where you live?
Yes.
How long have you been there?
About a year, maybe a little over.
Okay. Do you have a job these days?
Yes.
Is that a yes or a no?
Yes. Yes.
All right.
Yes.
What do you do?
I clean houses.
Okay. All right. I'll leave your bonds for the affidavit, which is $500 on each count. That's a total of $1,000. You'll be back in court on the 12th of April. Very important that you contact the public defender when you get out. All right.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Faith Wandell. Afternoon, Faith. What's your date of birth?
2/21/69.
Faith, first thing I have is a warrant for a petty theft that I signed, so I found probable cause for the petty theft. And then we have new charges of possession of methamphetamine and possession of drug paraphernalia. Probable cause all the way around, Faith. As to those charges, you wish to represent yourself. You're going to hire private counsel. Would you like me to appoint the public defender?
Public defender.
I'll appoint the PD. State, what can you tell me?
I'm showing a Georgia driving with license suspended in 2015 with no disposition. And then Florida history, adjudication of guilt in 2016 for a battery out of Hernando County, Pinellas County. 2007 adjudication of guilt with an aggravated assault with deadly weapon, where a 1 year, 6-month probation sentence was imposed. A 2004 violation of injunction protection, that was out of Pasco County. A 2005 trespassing adjudication of guilt, out of Pasco County. Adjudication withheld to follow harassed cyberstalk. threat to person, adjudication withheld 2005, out in Pasco County, as well as a battery adjudication withheld in 98.
Okay.
Out.
Faith, I got an address for you on Casey Road in Brooksville. Is that where you live?
Yes, sir.
How long have you lived there?
3 years.
Do you have a job these days?
No, sir, I'm looking. No, sir, I don't.
Okay. Faith, I'm going to set your bond on the methamphetamine at $2,000, on the paraphernalia at $500. Those charges are coming back April 12th. On the petty theft, I'll set your bond at $500. I think that's going to give you a total all the way around to $3,000. The petty theft is coming back on the 3rd of April. So if you get out, it's very important that you contact the public defender. If you can't get out, they'll come see you at the jail before you go to court, okay?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Yep. Terry Aaron? Terry Aaron?
Yes, sir.
Morning, sir. Afternoon, sir. What's your date of birth?
10/17/1951.
Terry, you're here on a warrant signed by Judge Merritt. Apparently you failed to appear in his court on a driving on a suspended license. As to that charge, you're representing yourself. You have private counsel. Would you like the public defender?
I'm going to represent myself, sir.
Okay. Judge Merritt set your bond at $10,000. I'll have you back to see him on April 2nd. They may have told you the 12th, but the right date is the 2nd. If you bond out, then that's great. If you can't bond out, you'll see him on the 2nd, okay?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Good luck. Orrin Baldwin. Afternoon,
Yes,
Mr.
sir.
Baldwin. What's your date of birth?
13163.
All right, Mr. Baldwin, you're here on a warrant signed by Judge Toner. You found probable cause for a violation of probation. As to that charge, you want to represent yourself. You're going to hire private counsel. Would you like the public defender?
Public defender.
I'll appoint the PD. The bond on that warrant is no bond. I can't change that. I'm going to send you back to see Judge Toner on April 12th. PD will come see you before then, okay?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Oliver Battle. Afternoon, Mr. Battle. What's your date of birth?
12/3/50, sir.
Mr. Battle, the charge is battery being domestic in nature. There's probable cause for the charge. As to the charge, you want to represent yourself. You want to hire private counsel. Would you like the public defender?
Public defender.
I'll appoint the PD. State what can you tell me?
No prior history, Your Honor.
Okay. All right. And Mr. Battle, I have an address for you on Corey Loop in Spring Hill. Is that where you live?
Yes, sir.
How long have you lived there?
13 years.
Okay. And does Charina live there as well?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Do you have a job these days?
Retired, sir.
Okay. What kind of work did you used to do, Oliver?
Transit supervisor.
Okay. And this is his son that's here?
Yes.
Did you have anything you wanted to say to me, Mr. Battle? You're just seeing what happens?
No, I didn't see what happened.
You just want to hear what happens. Okay. All right. Okay. Okay. Well, he's coming up on 70 years old next year, and he's got no criminal history, so I'm with you. All right. So, Mr. Battle, I'm going to set your bond at $100. Condition of the bond is that while this case is pending, you'll have no contact with Charina. Did you hear me explain no contact a moment ago?
Yes, I did.
Did you understand that?
Yes, sir, I did.
Okay. Also, I have to hold you up until 4 p.m. If she wanted to serve you with an injunction, we'd know where to find you. Now, since y'all were living together, if she stays there, you'll have to find someplace else to stay until we get your case resolved. You can go by one time to grab your clothes, your toothbrush, whatever you need, wherever you plan to stay. But to do that, you've got to contact the sheriff's office first. They'd meet you there with a deputy who will stand by while you collect your things and get going where you're going. And I'll have you back in court on April 3rd. Very important that you contact the public defender's office when you get out, okay?
Yes, sir.
All right, very good. Good luck.
Thank you.
Waldo Flecken.
Yes, sir.
Afternoon, Waldo. What's your date of birth?
11/24/1963.
Waldo, first thing I have is a warrant that was signed by Judge Toner. He found probable cause for a violation of probation. Then we have new charges of possession of methamphetamine, possession of marijuana, and possession of drug paraphernalia. There's probable cause for those. As to those charges, Waldo, you want to represent yourself. You want to hire private counsel. Would you like the public defender?
Public defender.
I'll appoint the PD. The bond on the VOP, of course, is no bond. That'll be coming back April 12th. On the new charges, I'll leave the bond on the meth at $2,000, the marijuana $1,000, the paraphernalia $1,000. Obviously, you can't post out on those charges because of the VOP. Those are also coming back on April 12th, and the public defender will come see you at the jail before you go to court again, okay?
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Christopher Fiorita.
Your Honor.
Afternoon, Chris. What's your date of birth?
It's 8/10/1986.
There's two charges to date. False imprisonment and battery being domestic in nature. There's probable cause for that those charges. As to those charges, you want to represent yourself. You're going to hire private counsel. Would you like the public defender?
As of right now, public defender, but if I want to hire a lawyer, is that okay?
That's absolutely okay. Just make
Yes,
sure
sir.
the PD knows if you hire somebody else.
Yes,
So
sir.
I'll appoint the PD, state.
Adjudication withheld in 2005 for criminal mischief. A resist law enforcement with violence, adjudication of guilt where a probation sentence was imposed. Adjudication withheld in 05 for a battery, second or subsequent. And that was out of Hernando County. Adjudication of guilt in 99 for another battery out of Coral Springs. And another battery in 99 Coral Springs. Adjudication of guilt.
All right. And Chris, I have an address for you on Black Hawk Trail in Spring Hill. Is that where you live?
Yes, sir.
How long have you lived there?
We just moved there, I'd say, about a little over 6 months.
Okay. Do you have a job these days?
Right now, I'm kind of sort of on medical leave. Got some stomach issues working with Career Central to get back on my feet.
Okay. And have they served you with an injunction yet?
I didn't jump into what, sir?
Okay.
What happened?
There's a domestic violence injunction making its way to you, so that'll be served before you're allowed to bond out. Okay. As to these two charges, I'm going to set your bond at $2,500 each. That's a total of $5,000. Condition of the bond is that you have no contact with Dominique. Did you hear me explain no contact earlier?
Yes, Your Honor.
You understood that?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Also got to hold you up until 4 p.m. Like I said, I know there's an injunction coming because I already signed it. They'll serve that. You'll be eligible to bond out after that's been served. You'll be back in court on April 12th. Very important that you contact the public defender when you get out, okay?
Yes, Your Honor. Thank you.
Richie George. Afternoon, sir. What's your date of birth?
October 6, 1997.
Richie, you're here on a warrant signed by Judge Toner. Apparently you failed to appear in his court on a charge of possession of controlled substance. As to that charge, you represent yourself. You got private counsel. You want the public defender.
Public defender. But, Your Honor, I was 20 minutes late to court.
Okay, well,
And I was still in the courtroom.
I get you. But you'll have to take that up with Judge Toner.
I came all the way from Miami.
Man, you and I could have an hour-long chat about all this, but all I'm telling you is it is what it is, and you'll have to deal with Judge Toner. I'm going to hold you without bond. How soon can we get him back on Toner's court? Something before the 12th? March 29th. I'm going to move your date up, Richie, to the 29th of March. Public defender will come see you before then, okay?
Okay, so I have no bond?
No bonds. Thank you. Jesse Haynes. Afternoon, Mr. Haynes. What's your date of birth?
5/27/76, sir.
Mr. Haynes, you're hearing a warrant signed by Judge Toner. Apparently, he failed to appear in his court on 2 charges, false imprisonment and a felony battery. As to those charges, you're going to represent yourself. You're going to hire private counsel. Would you like the public defender?
They already have me a public defender on those charges already. But as of for the failure to appear charge, I like a public defender.
Okay. Well, they haven't charged you, Jesse, with failing to appear. They just want to get you back on court on these other charges.
It was just a simple misunderstanding.
Jesse, hang on. I get that. That's what I'm saying. They have not charged you with the crime of failing to appear. But since you were late or were not in court when they expected you, that's how we get you back on the docket through this warrant. So that's what we're doing. Judge Toner set your bonds at $10,000 and $5,000 respectively. I'll have you back in front of him on April 12th. If you get out, get to the public defender right away. If you can't get out, they'll come see you at the jail, all right?
Is there any way that my bond could be dropped some kind of way? I have a job that I just started.
Right.
I don't have that kind of money, no contact.
And I'm sorry, Jesse, but not today. I can't. Thank you.
Well, is there any way that you can speak with the officers up here where I can get a phone call?
Say that again?
Phone call information. Is there any way you can speak with the officers where I can get a phone call up here? Because all my information is in my property, and I haven't made a phone call since I've been here.
Okay. Well, if you have a phone number, you can tell me. I'll make sure you get to call it. But if you don't know the phone number, I can't help you.
This is what I'm saying. All my phone numbers are in my property that I supposed to have on me.
I'm with you. And what happens to your property is internal jail operating procedure, and I can't tell them what to do about that. If you have a number, I can tell them to let you call any number you can think of. If you can't think of a number, and I will tell you that is a common problem these days, there's not much I can do for you. All right, thank you. Ryan Holland. Afternoon, Ryan. What's your date of birth?
5/2/1990.
Ryan, you're hearing a warrant signed by Judge Toner. He found probable cause for a violation of probation. As to that charge, you want to represent yourself. You want to hire private counsel. Would you like the public defender?
PD.
I'll appoint the PD. Bond on that warrant, of course, there's no bond. I'll have you back in front of Judge Toner on April 12th. PD will come see you before that, okay?
All right.
Thank you. Joshua Lott. Afternoon, Joshua. What's your date of birth?
8/14/90.
Joshua, you're hearing a warrant signed by Judge Merritt. Apparently you failed to appear in his court on a battery, second or subsequent. As to that charge, you want to represent yourself. You're going to hire private counsel. Would you like the public defender?
I get a public defender.
I'll appoint the public defender. I'm going to set your bond at $5,000. You'll be back in front of Judge Merritt on the 2nd of April. They told you the 12th. It'll be the 2nd. If you're able to bond out, contact the PD right away. If you can't bond out, they'll come see you before your court date, okay?
Okay.
Thank you. Donald McWhinney. Afternoon, sir. What's your date of birth?
4/8/82.
Donald, you're hearing a warrant signed by Judge Scaglione. He found probable cause for a grand theft, As to that charge, you want to represent yourself. You're going to hire private counsel. Would you like the public defender?
Public defender, please.
I'll appoint the PD, State.
Showing a Texas 2012 adjudication for a theft of property and no Florida history.
And Donald, I have an address for you on Cooper Road in Spring Hill. Is that where you live?
No, not currently.
Okay, where do you live now?
8190 Alhambra Court.
Okay, how long have you been there?
Just moved there about a month ago.
Okay, do you have a job these days?
No, sir.
Okay, how long has it been since you worked?
Probably about 6 months.
Okay. Set your bond at $1,000. So I'm going to have you back in court on the 12th of April. Very important that you contact the PD if you get out, all right?
All right, thank you, sir.
Thank you. And Nathan Spratt. Afternoon, Nathan. What's your date of birth?
10/27/99.
Nathan, you're hearing a warrant signed by Judge Merritt. He found probable cause for violation of probation. As to that charge, you want to represent yourself. You want to hire private counsel. Would you like the public defender?
Public defender.
I'll appoint the PD. Bond on that is no bond. I'll have you back in court. I'm going to change your date to the 19th of March. Looks like you got a bunch of other stuff pending, so we'll send this with your other cases. and public defender will come see you before you go to court again, okay?
Sounds good.
All right, thank you. Got anything else for me, Jail?
That's it, thank you.
Awesome, thank you.